over the years, I've led smart digital outfits. That's what I call the teams that I was at them. So where our primary goal was to transform education by applying principles of learning science, right? So what does that mean? We assess how the students learn, the status quo, and how we can help them learn better by leveraging some of the newer frontiers of knowledge, which spans domains such as cognitive science, brain science, and learning science, and data science, and what have you, right? So we strive to understand the known knowns, as I call them, in these aforesaid areas, and then apply that understanding, obviously grounded in academic research, to the digital educational context, right? So all of the digital products, the EdTech programs that we've developed for our clients, be it on the D2C side, on the B2B2C side, with an EdTech, obviously, would underpin this philosophy, right? So we as product developers, we understand how the brain, for example, takes in information, how it processes that knowledge, how it stores and recalls information. So we can help students or learners learn more efficiently by tailoring instruction according to all of these functions.
And how does that happen? Just help me understand that, because we also in the same business. I haven't got the same doctrine on my side. I just want to understand what's tell me about the wherewithal.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a couple of examples, right? So it's a well-known, with respect to learning science, it's a well-known fact that your memory decays exponentially. And so what does that mean? So when you see some item of knowledge for the very first time, right, unless and until something momentous happens, it goes into your short-term memory and then it dissipates, right? So one of the challenges in education is how I, as a student or a learner, can acquire knowledge and then retain that knowledge for the long haul, right? So most of your current techniques, both from an instructional standpoint and also from a learning standpoint that we all use, are not optimal, right? So we cram right before the exam, we highlight key terms, we incorporate rote learning techniques and what have you. And all of these create an illusion, as I call them, right? And we're not able to recall that information learned because it's an illusion. So cognitive science and research in cognitive science tells us that there are several optimum learning strategies, not just for acquiring knowledge, but also for recall. Right? So we've used, I'd say, a handful of learning strategies such as effortful recall or retrieval practice. That's the more scientific term, right? So if you have to actively recall some item of knowledge, that goes a long way with the stickiness in terms of retention, right? So the benefits of retrieval, for example, it manifests primarily in long-term retention for a broad base of functional knowledge. And so another strategy that we've used extensively in products is space practice. So you space or you space your practice of recall across a multitude of sessions, as against having one long-form assessment at the end of a lesson or a module. So you have formative assessments that are contextually embedded at the end of each concept. So we break down the concepts into the core concept and then the sub-concept and the micro-concept. And then you go ahead and incorporate formative assessments to gauge the student's mastery level before they move on to the next set of concepts, right? So these are the type of learning science powered strategies that we've incorporated in products that we've developed. So the learning science driven approach is at the heart and center of what we do. Right? And from an R&D standpoint, we had several instruments that we've developed in-house, like there's one called the Cognitive Feasibility Index that evaluates learning resources and learning assets that we develop at the micro level. Right? So we find that a certain learning resource, like an assessment or an animation or a simulation that we've developed, is overly complex, and we get all of that data, the learner activity data, all that is streaming into our R&D environment. And if the Cognitive Feasibility Index is beyond a certain threshold, we would go ahead and revisit that item of knowledge and either have it updated or replaced or one of those things, right? So we also have another tool called the Learning Performance Monitor, which basically gauges the student's mastery level of proficiency or predefined proficiency levels. So we've got these learning instruments and all of the content these days are instrumented. And you must have seen that with the learning set of tools as well, right? So as and when the learner is interacting or interfacing with the learning resources, all of that data is captured and it's passed on back to the backend LMS or the LCMS in conjunction with the adaptive learning system. So the AI and ML component of it is being leveraged to the max. So that's the approach, the LS, the learning science based approach that we use when it comes to PDLC, and that's paid off for us. And that's pretty much, that was the biggest differentiator for us as a company when it came to EdTech services.